Welcome everybody, this is your Pilates homework practice video. I'm not going to attempt to teach you any new material. So all the material I'm going to be using are exercises that you have covered. As always, feel free to adapt or omit anything that doesn't suit you. I'm going to give you the suggestions as a flow of exercises. So you might want to stop the video, carry on in your own time so that you can shape the movements with your own breathing rhythm. But it will work to listen to the spoken cues because you do know the movements, so you won't need to watch me the whole time. So I'm going to assume that you've all done your own warm-up, but if you would like a suggestion, have a look at Platform Quarantine, Two-Face Dance, and you'll find Cameron up there with a nice vigorous warm-up and various other exercise routines that you might be interested in. So we're going to start today with arm split and heel slide to engage the deep abdominals and have a sense of coordinating and integrating the whole body before we work on the body in more separate areas. So here we go, arm split and heel slide. So first of all, orientate yourself on the mat and have a sense of where the weight of your body falls into the floor and where there might be gaps. If you need something under your head, that's fine. Be comfortable. Have a sense of opening up the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands and letting go of tension before you start. So we're going to lift the arms up so they are vertical above the shoulders without too much reaching. Feel free to have a wriggle and a squirm to get yourself as straight and as aligned as possible. So we're going to inhale as we start, and on the exhale, tighten and engage the deep abdominals and stretch your right arm beyond your head and your left heel out to the other side of the room. You don't need to go beyond a comfortable range of movement. Just feel that you let go into that stretch. Coming back, feel the sole of the foot orientate back on the mat and the fingertips pointing to the ceiling. Inhale. On the exhale, engage, lift, open and reach. Feel the standing foot maintains a sense of poise on the mat as you slide the working leg. Inhale, exhale, engage, lift and reach. With each repetition, you may find that there's room for a little bit more distance, but it's not important. The main thing is to oil the joints, to feel what's there. The repetitions themselves will ease stiffness, so you don't need to put too much effort into the reach. Try to keep your wrists aligned. Sometimes I notice people do overflex the wrists and hands. So keep a good line. Maintain your pelvic lumbar stability so that the center of you, without being rigid, has a good sense of stability. So you can either take a pause or carry on and continue with a few more. We're going to go on to pelvic tilts next. So we're going to take a pelvic tilt sequence that includes a movement of the arms, which gives us a little bit more work into the upper abdominals. So that's useful for anybody who needs to avoid doing ab curls because you will get a little bit more abdominal work from this. I find that this particular variation is also a nice release for muscles around the shoulder girdle because as you move the arms away from the floor, it releases the back a little bit more into the mat. So here we go. We're going to take a preparatory breath in. On the exhale, a strong contraction of your deep abdominals. Locate your lower abdominals and use your lower abdominals to begin curling the tailbone off the mat. There's no hurry. A lot of value in taking this early part of the tilt really slowly. So not too much use of the legs. As you climb higher, feel the kneecaps moving gently forward over the centre of the foot, and notice how your weight is distributed between the 2 feet. On the inhale, we're going to lift the arms up towards the ceiling. Slight pause. On the out breath, feel the chest drop away from the arm reach. This is where you're going to feel your upper abdominals a little bit more. There's also a better connection of the thoracic spine with the mat as the shoulder blades part slightly. Continue that softening and melting into the mat, and at the end, gently locate the arms back by your side. Take a breath in. On the exhale, engage. Feel those lower abdominals are moving the pelvic bones towards the ribs. Rolling out of the mat. Notice if there is a slight preference to the weight over each foot. In breath to lift the arms. On the out breath, keep a gentle reach through the arms without taking the shoulders off the floor. Drop the chest bone, drop the ribs, drop the midsection and the sacrum and the tailbone. Notice the feeling of weight into the floor and lower the arms. Inhale, exhale, engage, tilt, roll. Take care not to tense the neck and shoulders as you climb higher. In breath, arms to the ceiling. On the out breath, drop the chest away from the fingers. Continue rolling down and place the arms back by the side. One more time, take a breath. Exhale, engage. Movement should be beginning to feel a little more fluent and coordinated. An anticipation of the next stage. Dropping, softening, rolling, and settling. Going to take some chest raises. I'm calling them a chest raise because I want the focus to be on the activation of the abdominals rather than trying to curl up or sit up. So we're going to take the hands behind the skull and do a rehearsal of how the arms can support the head. So just test the weight of the head in your arms because there's a tendency for the neck muscles to engage without you even intending that to happen. Comfortable position of the shoulders so that the blades feel articulate on the mat and not too tight. Check the position of the feet and the knees and the hips so that you're in your best alignment that's possible for you. I'm going to take a breath in, and on the out breath we're going to engage the abdominals, unweight the head and feel a soft dropping of your chest bone as your ribs slide towards your hips and you roll your shoulders and head off the mat. Keep your gaze out beyond your knees. Slight pause at the top. Inhale to roll back to the floor. Take a pause. Take a breath. On the exhale, engage. Unweight the head. Feel a softening of the chin, a softening of the breastbone, and the glide of your ribs in the direction of your knees. At the top, just check that you pulled your belly button in a little bit more. Roll back down. Inhale. On your exhale, tighten your internal corset of deep abdominal muscle. Unweight the head, but allow the rib cage to move, so avoid tightening round the ribs. Feel the slide and glide of the rib cage towards the legs. Rolling down. In breath. On the out breath, engage. Take the weight of the head, soften the chin. Let the breastbone sink and the ribs slide towards the hip bones. No tension around the groin or the front of the hip. Roll back down. How far you come is not very important. Good technique and taking care with the neck is much more beneficial. In breath, on the out breath, take the weight of the head as you engage the abdominals. Soften and glide. You may find you're just beginning to gain a little bit more movement as the muscles warm up to their task. You'll find that they begin to perform a little better. We're going to do one more. Take a breath. On the out breath, we're engaging, taking the head, softening the chest. Little pause at the top. Draw that belly in. Little scoop. No tucking around your glutes or your legs. It's all happening in your midsection. And relax. Take your arms back to your side and allow your abdominals to release. We're going to take our baby hip rolls. So this is where we focus on the deep mechanics of the way that our oblique tummy muscles assist the rotation of the pelvis and the lower back, providing us with a strong corset of muscle for all our bending and twisting movements. So we feel that the legs are together and behaving as a unit, and when we tip the legs, it's a little bit like tipping a cardboard box from its flat surface onto its edge. So you don't want to allow a slide of the legs. It's not rigid, it's not glued, but there's a sense of connection through the legs. You can have your arms to the side of you or place the palms on the hip bones or whatever suits you. So we inhale. On the exhale, engage the deep corset abdominals and begin to let the legs dictate the rotation. We're not going to go too far. We're focusing on a deep internal sensation of twist rather than tension happening on the outside of the body. Come back to the center on the inhale. On the exhale, focus on your deep abdominals. Allow the legs to tip. They begin to take the pelvis on that journey with them, and a little bit of rotation through the lower back, but it's not too strong. The feeling is a stretch because as you go into the motion, the abdominals are almost holding on to the legs for you like ropes or reins. So it feels quite a pull as the abdominals prevent your legs from dropping all the way to the floor. For me, this always gives me that central connectedness between my upper body and my lower body, and really helpful this exercise if your low back is not feeling very comfortable, because it just switches on those tummy muscles and provides a sort of muscular corset of support during movement. So we inhale. On the exhale, connect, rotate. Slight pause. You can take another breath if you feel you want to do this slower, and move on the out breath. Otherwise, we take a breath in the center. On the out breath, engage and move. On the in breath, come back to the center. Going to take that one more time each side. You can, of course, pause the video and carry on. Pretty much all the exercises I'm giving you, you would be comfortable doing 8 to 10 times should you wish to do so. Inhale. On the exhale, engage. Hip roll. Inhale. Those same abdominals now pull you back into your footprint on the mat. In breath. On the exhale, engage and roll.
Do make sure that you're not using tension in the neck, jaw, shoulders, arms and hands. It all is very much around your central girdle here. So moving on to our bridge, it's always a good plan to include some glutes work, because for most people they don't work hard enough. And you can either do your glute squeezes lying prone, but the bridge is always a good one because you activate your glutes and then work them hard to lift the weight of your pelvis off the mat. So different to a pelvic tilt, because your body is now going to stay still, not rigid, not tense, but we're not moving the spine in a curl, we're just lifting. So we're going to inhale, and on the exhale it's important to both engage your deep abdominals and activate the glutes by squeezing the butt cheeks together before you attempt to leave the floor. Once you've got them firmly squeezed, they almost feel as though they're floating anyway. Feel how the knees move gently forwards over the centre of the foot as the hips rise. We're aiming to find a diagonal from the side of the knee through the hip to the armpit, but if that's too high, just go down a little and keep the squeeze strong. Little pause. As you come down, release the glute and try not to tighten your hamstrings too much. Focus on the glute itself. In breath, on the exhale, deep abdominals. Squeeze the glutes without taking tension anywhere else. Standing on your 2 feet firmly, lifting. Have a clear picture in your mind's eye of the shape that your body is making and a good feel for the muscles that you are using to create that shape. Inhale. On your exhale, engage your deep abdominals, squeeze the glutes. Not too much squeeze of the ball or cushion between the knees, but you can do it without if you prefer. I find it helps to keep the lower half of the body in a stable position to use the ball. And down. Little variation, taking the ball away. We can float one leg in the air, keeping it in a tabletop position. And if you know that you're weaker on one side, I prefer standing on my left leg to my right, so I probably should have done this on my right foot first. So cheating a little bit to use my strong leg to show you. You're going to squeeze your glutes, but focusing on your standing leg so that now the weight of your body is lifted through one glute, one leg. Come back down. I'm going to show you that on the other side. So this is just a variation. If you don't feel strong enough for this, just do the usual bridge. Engage the abdominals, squeeze the glute and move on the out breath. You may find you can't get quite as high. We're going to be really watchful for the alignment of your knee with your foot, because that can go amiss when you're standing on one leg. So I'm going to take that one more time each side. Engage the core, squeeze the glute firmly, don't leave it to chance, otherwise you may find that it's lazy and it leaves other muscles to do the work. Squeeze and lift. Gently down. It's on the way down I find that there can be a wobble. I'm switching legs, but I would probably advise doing a series on one leg, particularly if you know you've got a weaker side. Squeeze and lift. And gently lower. And that's our bridge. So we're going to take a little exercise for the hamstrings. Really important that we've got this good connection from the hip to the heel, and we keep our alignment. So a little exercise for the hamstring. You can do your hamstring curl completely plain, just with the bend of the knee and the lower. Works really well to achieve that alignment. If you want a little more work
we can use the glute a little bit more to raise the leg. I wouldn't lift the leg off the floor if you've got lower back issues. So we're coming down into our prone position. Feel free to move and wriggle a little until it feels as level as possible. Rest your forehead on your hands. Settle your shoulder blades down your back and allow your chest to open into the mat, because sometimes we just hold this a little tight, anticipating effort. So we bring the heels into alignment with the sit bones. And there needs to be a little reach through the big toes as well, just to stretch the feet out. If this is going to give you cramp, then I would certainly do a little bit more of your footwork before you lie down to do this. So working with the gentle glute squeeze and a little bit of lift of the abdominals towards the spine, we've got a good support for beginning the leg work. So we're going to focus on the crease at the back of the knee, and on the out breath, relaxing the foot and the ankle, we bring the back of the heel towards the center of the right buttock. We're going to squeeze the glutes a little bit more, especially the right one, so that we can lift the thigh a tiny way off the mat without disturbing the comfort and position of our lower back. Lower it down and release. In breath. On the exhale, we fold. Take a breath in. On the next exhale, we squeeze and float. Check you're not tightening up in your neck and shoulders. In breath, exhale. Take a breath in. On the out breath, we fold. Nice and steady, feel the belly, the mid part of the hamstring performing that knee fold. Take a breath. On the exhale, be careful here that it's not an adjustment of your pelvis and your spine, but a strong pinch, a strong squeeze of your glute, your buttock, that produces the lift. And rest. You can keep going and do a few more. I'm going to go to the left side. Have a slight pause from one leg to the other, because your body will probably not be symmetrical, and you may need to just tune in to one side a little bit more. So my dominant side is my right, that's my preferred leg for movement, so my left leg needs a little bit more tuning. So we take a breath. On the out breath, we engage deep abdominals and glutes lightly. We relax the ankle and we fold the knee. We take a breath. On the out breath, squeeze a little bit more and lift. Lower and release. On the exhale, take a breath. Engage. Fold. Take a breath. Engage. Lift. Take a breath. Exhale. Going to do one more. You can of course carry on and do a few more in your series. Take a breath. On your exhale, just check those shoulders. It's a weak point for me. I have to give them more than normal consideration. We're going to move into the hamstring curl. Pause as you inhale, and then a good pinch, a good squeeze. Make sure it's muscle doing the work and not a shift of your spine or your pelvis, no twist. So we're now in our diamond press position. We've worked quite hard with the hamstrings, with the glutes, with the abdominals. We're going to consider the upper back and the stabilization of the shoulder blades. So we take a triangular position with the fingers pointing forward, the elbows to the side, and just adjust that so that it suits your anatomy. Not too much tension in your legs, just a little bit of abdominal and glute. Taking an in breath, on our out breath,
we take our attention to the shoulder blades and allow them to cascade down the back as we roll the chest out of the floor and open the collarbones, feeling a stretching and straightening out through the upper back, but a softening of your chin. Roll back into the mat as you take a breath in. On your out breath, cascade the shoulder blades down the back. Feel a widening of your chest. Remember not to take the head too far back. We keep length between your hairline and your collar. Width across your collarbones and a firm pressure through the palms and forearms to support the movement. Coming back down. In breath. On the exhale, glide the blades. Roll the chest bone and the ribs until you are in a small extension. Take a breath in, rolling back into the mat. On the out breath, glide the shoulder blades. Gentle pressure through the hands, softening the chin, and the gaze is still down towards the thumbs as if you're looking down at a mirror on the floor at your own reflection. Come back down. 2 more times. Inhale, exhale, glide, and extend. Roll back into the mat, relax the shoulders, glide, and extend. So from here, we're going to extend the arms into a small star shape, not too wide. It's really just slightly wider than parallel. So this is a strong activation of the muscles on the back of the body, but particularly looking at the muscle chain that connects the right arm with the left foot. So we're going to feel that there is a strong rapport, a relationship between the right shoulder and the left glute and the left shoulder and the right glute. Allow your nose to just brush the mat. It's not really a back bend or a lift. We're activating muscles on the back of the body rather than doing a stretch. Inhale. On the exhale, engage your abdominals, your glutes, glide your shoulder blades down your back and float your right arm and your left leg slightly above the ground as your left arm and your right leg maintain a strong connection with the floor. Come back down. In breath, on the exhale, the left arm and the right leg. My nose is leaving the floor slightly, but I'm not wanting to make too much twist here. In breath, on the exhale, right arm and left leg. In breath, left arm, right leg. If your shoulders don't allow you to do this movement comfortably, try doing it with the legs on their own, thinking the movement with the arms, because the intention will still activate the necessary muscle without putting you under the strain in the joint. So you think it. You can think that you're lifting the arm without actually lifting it, and you're still going to get the engagement. If you're feeling strong, have a go at floating both arms, both legs, not too high, and relax. So now place the hands to the side of the shoulders, bring the legs back into parallel. The knees are soft, the glutes are lightly engaged, the nose is touching the ground, and the shoulders sit down in their home position in the upper back. I'm going to take a breath in. On the out breath, have a sense of the palms and the elbows being in line with the body, and detach your nose, your chest bone, your ribs, your upper belly, maybe your navel, and roll back down. Keep the elbows underneath the armpits. Take a breath in. On the exhale, orientate yourself in the position, shoulders down your back, gentle lengthening through the legs, not too tight with the knees. Remember, it's the body initiating the movement and the head travels with the body, a bit like a passenger. It doesn't really do any leading. Inhale on the exhale. Detach your nose, throat, breastbone, ribs, upper belly. You don't need to extend the arms, just do what's comfortable. In breath, on the exhale, you should find that after a few repetitions, the range of motion begins to increase and the movement begins to feel a little bit more fluent, more articulate. So it's not necessary to push it too high. We're looking for technique. We're looking for finesse. So when you've done enough of your extensions, it's going to feel really nice to put your hands right under your shoulders and to push strongly up onto all fours using your abdominals. Sit back onto your heels into your rest position and relax. So we're coming onto our side for a side lying exercise. We're going to do the shell. You can put a pillow between the knees and you can either cradle your head or extend your arm. If your arm is extended, try and reach out so that the palm rotates to give you stability on the floor. I'm going to keep my hand on my hip. You can have your hand in front and put your hand behind you, but I quite like to feel the activation in the deep hip rotators and the glute. Remember, we're trying to activate muscles inside the hip to produce our shell motion. We're not using the thighs and the outside of the thigh too much. So we may not make a very big position, but it's the sensation of working those hip muscles that's important. Check that your top hip is stacked above your bottom one. Remember that when you do your shell, it's really easy, really tempting to slide your pelvis backwards because it makes the knee go higher, but that's cheating. So you could do this with your back against a wall or a sofa. So lying on our side, it's good to practice the cupboard a couple of times. Let your tummy relax and hang out. And on your out breath, we pick up the belly button. We lift it out of the floor and we draw it in and backwards towards the spine. This gives the lower spine support in a position where it would be very tempting to let that lower back sag and be unsupported. You could also put a rolled up towel just underneath the waist. So feel free to practice the cupboard a few times first. Inhale. On your exhale, check that your shoulder girdle, your pelvic girdle, your knees and your feet are in a good position. Remember, your feet want to be in line with your spine, not behind. On the exhale, locate and tighten those deep muscles close to your sit bones and feel how they empower the lifting motion of your knee away from the bottom leg. Close. Inhale. On the next exhale, allow your shin and your foot to lift a little way off the bottom leg to release the muscles that you're working hard on the opening motion. So exhale, squeeze and lift. Inhale to close. Exhale. Be careful here that you don't let your pelvis move. It's just a small movement that happens inside the hip joint. So we're working close to the hip. It's not really the knee doing anything at all, but that's the joint that you see moving visually. All the action is in the hip joint. So you've got your inward motion and you've got your outward motion. So once you have done a good series on one side, doesn't matter which side you start, good idea to use your weaker side first so that it has your best attention and your best energy. and then turn over onto the other side. So on our second side, remember it may feel different to the first side. It's not important to try and equalise the movement by force, but it is a good idea to observe how each hip performs and to pay a little more attention to your less willing hip. So my right leg enjoys this movement a bit more than my left, so I tend to find there's a little bit more range of motion on this side. I'm going to inhale. On the exhale, engage the deep abdominals and squeeze the glutes as if you are squeezing the sit bones together. So both of the glutes are activated even though it's just the top leg that we are moving. In breath to close. On the out breath, remember we're taking the reverse movement, a slight inward rotation. Close on the in breath. On the out breath, activate the muscles first and then into the motion. In breath to close. Out breath. We're not moving the pelvis itself, we're just moving the leg inside the hip joint. So we've got the opening of the knee and the closing of the knee and the opening of the foot. I'm going to take that one more time. In breath. On the out breath, abdominals, glutes. Have an acknowledgement at the top of the movement so that you have that connection with how your joint is moving.
So moving on, this exercise is for your adductors, for your inner thighs. You can do your adductors in a side lying exercise, but this is useful for anybody that has a bit of discomfort lying on their hip doing the adductor lift. So we're doing the leg slides. I'm going to focus on one leg at a time. We're going to feel that elongation through the working leg. So it's not so much a pulling up of my toes as a reaching out through my heel. My standing leg has a sense of position. It's not too tight. It's not too close, not too far away. And the position itself doesn't have to be too big. So on the exhale, we make sure that the abdominals are engaged, the shoulders are rolled and cascading down the back. As you elongate that leg, we maintain the position of the knee and the foot with a very, very tiny little bit of rotation outwards so that we don't let the knee and the foot rolling. Come back to where you started. It can be a little bit tricky doing this on carpet, but you're still going to get the same activation. It's good to have a slight pause, otherwise the movement can become a little bit too hypnotic. So we do the activation of the inner thigh and you assess where you can get to with that leg. Return to the start. Remember to keep lengthening out of the hip, keep both buttock cheeks equally on the mat. We're really activating the inner thigh, so be careful not to lift the leg off the floor. Sitting does create some tension in the thigh, but we're trying to reduce that as much as possible by keeping the weight of the leg firmly on the mat. So going into your other leg, remember it may not perform the same as your first leg, and that's fine, but just take note of anything that feels a little bit different. So on the out breath, the inner thigh draws the leg towards the other side, and we take it back out, not too wide. Take a breath in. On the out breath, squeeze the leg across. You can, if you look carefully, see and feel those adductor muscles engaging. They are what are creating the movement. So if we lifted the leg off the ground, we'd be feeling a lot more tension in the top of the leg. You can do this exercise lying down as well. If you do it lying down, have one leg bent with the foot on the floor and one leg working. So that is our inner thigh exercise. We're now going to come into our saw. So we're ready to just find some flow of movement, some integration of the body, a bit of stretch through the legs and the body. It's not important whether you touch your toe or not. What's important is that the movement feels as though it's beneficial to you and has a sense of being enjoyable. So brilliant technique, but it doesn't matter whether you reach your toe or your ankle or your knee. So we've got our legs in a V shape with the toes and the kneecaps looking up to the ceiling. And we're going to take the hands out to the side. So I know this sitting position isn't comfortable for everybody. So this might be one that some people prefer to miss out. And there will be others that are perhaps more beneficial. So sitting with the arms out, we're going to take a breath in. And as we inhale, we're going to lift and turn slightly towards the right foot. On the out breath, my left hand is going to reach somewhere in the direction of my right baby toe. My right arm goes behind me because I can use that hand to give me a little bit of a push to go a little further. My left buttock, left leg, left heel stay connected to the floor, and I've got a lovely stretch from my back all the way through the shoulder and the arm, and then all the way up the back of the leg. Lift on the in-breath towards the other corner, and on the out-breath, draw the abdominals in, bow the head, allow the fingers to reach for the baby toe. The left hand behind you can give you a little bit of a push, and inhale and exhale. With each repetition, you may find that you get a little bit further. Inhale and exhale. Try not to get a lean over because that's going to give you too much pull with the back. Once you've done your little twist here, it's more of a forward motion with your head bowing down and your hand going to the corner rather than your body. So keep your belly pulled in, keep your bum on the floor, use your hand behind you, and we're getting a little bit further. Inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale. Coming with the legs in front of you, it's a nice short detour to come into our spine stretch. So we're going to have the fingertips by the side. Now, if you are feeling the tension in the legs or it feels a little tight with the back, do bend the knees a little bit, because in a way it's a sense of just using the whole body now, feeling the connection between your feet, your hands, your head, your knees, your hips. So it's not important that it has to be at full stretch. What's important is that you can enjoy the articulation of the whole movement. So bent knees, straight knees, we're sitting up on the sit bones and taking care with the position of the head. We're going to breathe in. Big reach, big reach. Feel sky hooks coming down, taking hold of your fingers. Now pulling your belly in and drawing your toes towards your fingers, we create that arc. Come back up and sit. In breath, lift. Now you may not reach your toes today, tomorrow, you might have better luck. Doesn't matter, you can reach the top of your socks, you can reach the middle of your shins. Really use the breath. In breath and exhale. Last one. In breath and exhale. You might want to stay here. That feels reasonably comfortable. Pulling the belly in a little bit more. Cascading those shoulders down the back. Maybe you can reach down the soles of the feet. Come out of that really gently. Bring the knees up towards the chest. And we're ready to take our full roll down. So here we are in our sitting position. We're nearly there, folks. Lift on your in-breath. Draw those belly muscles in. Drop your shoulders down. Drop your chest in. Drop your chin. Roll yourself down to the floor.
Stretch out. Just enjoy feeling how the floor supports your body weight and you can just extend out of your joints. Take yourself into a star shape. We're going to finish with just 2 or 3 of our somatic integrated body movements so that you can feel how all the detailed isolated movements you've done has helped to put the body back together in really good form. So we're going to fold the arms, bring the feet to the groin, fold the knees, use the abdominals, squeeze and curl, drop the feet, drop the knees, drop the elbows and reach the soles and the fingertips. Fold in, knees together, use the abdominals, roll knees to nose, come back down and extend. And again, folding in. Fold the knees, squeeze and curl. Drop the feet, drop the knees. We're going to reach over and turn the light off. You might want to point your toes. We're going to unroll the right hand. We're going to reach to the left, turn the light off. Lovely feeling of twist. Don't forget to peel the hand, the wrist, the elbow, and lengthen. Not too much with your head, but your head will come off the floor. Curl. Reach. Nice feeling of rotating in that upper torso now. Curl and reach. We're going to take it into a sideways movement. We're going to bend. Little crescent moon. We're going to squeeze that rib and that hip and use those belly muscles to curl yourself into a ball. And we're going to stretch out as we inhale. Bend to the left. I'm running out of room. I'm going to wrap myself around the piano, but that's fine. I can hear Sam sighing. I think he's ready to join in. Big reach. Stretch to the side. Curl into a little ball. And stretch. One more time. Curl over to the side. Curl. Stretch. Now then, flex the feet. Reach the arms. Inhale. Bring the arms up above the chest. Roll up that head and chest. Now go for it. Use those stomach muscles. Up, 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 up. Lift. And curl.
So folks, I hope that's helpful to you. It's always hard for me not knowing what to put in, but knowing what to leave out. So that's quite a balanced little program, but I haven't done too many stretches. I haven't focused on the upper body. So feedback to me, give me an email, see if that's helpful. It might be possible to do another little workout for you, but what we've just done there together will be good for just keeping the body in nice condition. So very much grateful thanks to my lovely twins, for Catriona for patiently filming, and for Cameron for his help with the editing. Do look for Cameron's platform quarantine two-face dance for some additional exercises. So bless you, Catriona and Cameron, for your help. Couldn't be without all your expertise. Take care, look after yourselves, stay safe, stay well, and keep up your Pilates practice.